Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication.
Hey, welcome to Mercy TV, your source for news and information on the cannabis issue as it unfolds here in Oregon, across America, and around the world. Greetings. My name is Perry, and along with PK and our guest Eddie, we'll be hosting this segment of Mercy TV.
Yeah. Welcome.
Welcome back again, Ed. Talk some about what you've been doing since your last visit here.
Oh goodness, I'm working on getting lots of folks to come on the show. Hopefully, some police officers, county commissioners, city council members, running city council members,
right,
with their opinions on cannabis. Been really thinking about how cannabis is affecting us as a society today. So nice.
Well, and it's an interesting study of how it's affected society in general throughout the ages.
Yes.
When it was first discovered, it became possibly one of the first agricultural crops, and certainly one of the first medicines, one of the first to be used for the fibers and other things there. And we've been seeing it in ritualistic crypts, burials, where it was possibly used for spiritual purposes. So a big, long, rich history of cannabis and people
maybe
there.
Some folks might even burn it in their sweat lodges. You never know.
So, PK.
Yes, Perry. Hey, call 503-588-6444. We would like to hear from you. You need to get out of the closet. You need to be registered or get registered to vote. Keep up what's happening in the issues. Talk to your neighborhood friends. Make neighborhood friends.
Right.
And heck, talk to your enemies. What do you have to lose? I mean, when it comes to the cannabis issue, this brings more people together than separates, really, because we're seeing this across the board, especially when it comes to the miracle cures that cannabis is often offered.
Yes.
Well,
like the healing oil that I have 2 formulas. The ancient one is 15 years old. Each season I add more cannabis. When it's needed, I added the olive oil to keep it over the level of cannabis. I squeeze it to get my portion out.
We have a caller.
hey.
Excellent caller.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, hi. My name is John.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
How you guys doing?
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm watching you live on the internet, and I got a question for you guys.
Well, go right ahead. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, John.
I replaced the drug Oxycontin 14 years ago with medical cannabis in the state of California. I've written U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah.
He's known about this since 09, 010, 011, all the way to present. So why is it we have no opiate patients getting funded marijuana to the states that have legal medical marijuana, like my state of California for 22 years?
You mean like in Oregon? Like we do? Like, isn't like if some people don't know, if you're a medical marijuana patient, visit Oregon Health Science Centers. They'll send you like rolled up usable
Right.
cannabis.
Well, unfortunately, some folks are facing resistance from their doctors, and I guess you could say the reason is what it comes down to is money. Because I mean, why we have an opioid crisis is because the opioid industry and salespeople are immune from being held to any standards at all, much less.
Pharmaceutical companies.
Hold it, guys. Listen to me very carefully. I'm 25 years expert in pain. I know 4 of the federal patients that get marijuana from our government.
Oh, excellent.
okay.
Interesting.
So what I'm about to tell you is real. Robert Randall was the first federal patient in 1978, and the DEA DEA and the federal government had meetings to get heroin put back on the market for intractable pain patients. That's what I am.
Uh-huh.
What they did was they tried to pass a Senate bill in 1987 to bring heroin back to the market. Because of the first federal patient, they feared that we would all need this marijuana medicine. So what did they bring? They brought Oxycontin to us the same year my friend Dennis Perrone gave us California medicine because we had AIDS victims dying. Now, I brought Senator Dianne Feinstein, the same supervisor that saw Harvey Milk die in San Francisco in 1979.
Yeah.
The thing about it is she's done nothing but to take the pills away from that were all funded, and marijuana is not getting to the patients that need it. I get to grow it. I get to have it. Social Security, Medicare are okay with me having it, all because of the people I knew. That's not right. The heroin was put on this America because they didn't want us using cannabis back in 1978. It's in Robert Randall's book, page 213. So we got to get the facts out.
Right.
The facts are the opiates could be replaced in one day if they allow us to grow this plant as free as tomatoes or corn.
Oh, yeah.
If we're talking about money, the federal government controls us with the Controlled Substance Act. Marijuana will never get changed in it. They just opened up. GW Pharmaceutical brought CBD pills to America June 25th, 2018, because they want. I got a letter from Feinstein that says, guys, 265 drug companies are testing this plant as we speak. We don't know who they are, but they're big pharma. So we need the whole plant before they cut it up in 400 pieces and sell it back to us one cannabinoid at a time.
Well, that's what they're trying to do right. That's what they're doing right now. I mean, look in the liquor stores. They got the little things, the CBD shots, and OLCC's already doing that here in Oregon.
But as you know, the FDA, the CDC, and the DEA, they control the drugs, and they'll write a letter to one person, and that person will have to stop, and that's our system. So what we need is funded medical cannabis as long as it's 21 and over, because they work hand in hand.
Yeah.
No 21 and over is ever going to go to big pharma, so they'll have the plant for life.
Yep.
We agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you,
yeah,
John.
Very good. Yeah. Oh, yeah, by the way, I had the privilege of meeting Dennis Perrone when he came up here to Oregon on a visit tour. Great man, and it was great work that he's done.
Let me tell you about Dennis Perrone. I've been a patient with him since 1997 in his first club in San Francisco called the Cannabis Buyers Club.
Yeah.
Every Friday, Dennis gave away, because California's law is Compassion Use Act, compassion. So Dennis gave away 8,800 AIDS every Friday in San Francisco in 1996.
That's beautiful.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
That's
yeah.
how special he was.
And that was pressing the boundaries of the law at the time. He still could get in trouble for it then, see.
Dennis went through hell and back, but he still fought, just like Jack Hare.
Right.
And, L.B. Musica,
Right.
George McMahon, Barbara Douglas, Irvin Roosevelt.
Right.
I'm going to be up in Portland, Oregon at a cannabis science conference in August next month. And I don't do a lot of traveling, but it'd sure be great to get on your show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Come on.
excellent, John.
All right. Hey, well,
Right?
yeah, send us an email there, either at the info at Mercy Centers or office. You know, the links off the Mercy TV pages there should get it. Also, call
one of us
in.
direct.
Yeah.
You guys got the technology down. You guys got the shows. You got all of us out here. We see it. We call in and we try to help.
Oh, right. Beautiful, man. Thank you for calling
you
in
so
and
much.
letting us know you're out there watching. Yeah.
You forgot the great Dr. Lebec.
I use 2,000 milligrams of THCA and THCA a day, and it makes me normal to replace. I've replaced $1 million worth of opiates.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the story.
You see how many people could save? Prince didn't need to die. Tom Petty didn't need to die.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Just think of the lives that are.
100,000 have died so far because it is all funded. So we need funded cannabis.
Yes.
Yep.
Right
Think
on.
of the lives that'll be saved.
You know?
Excellent.
Anyway, nice
Thank you for
letting me
calling.
talk, and it's kind of hard hearing on this side, but I see you guys on the internet, and I think it's really cool.
Excellent.
With the technology. I love your suit. I can't see the other guy. I can't see PK, but and
On this
Harry,
shot.
you look like the head of the head of normal.
Oh, is it? Are you watching on Facebook?
What's that?
You're watching on the internet?
Yeah, I'm watching it live on the internet, Facebook right now.
Oh, cool.
That's
Is
right
that
there.
on?
That's
There
why.
it
All right, right on. Well,
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Friendly,
thanks
brother.
for calling in, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna just watch the show from here on.
Right
You
on.
guys, yeah, you
Enjoy.
Thanks,
We'll
man.
See you later.
Yeah.
thank you, Brother John.
You guys later. I'll email you. All right.
Yeah, do
Thank
that.
you, buddy.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll see you in August.
Yeah, see you in August,
Oh,
man.
yep. Come on the show, please. That'd be
Definitely.
great, right,
That'd be
guys?
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
So, wow, excellent. The power of the medium
power
there.
of the internet.
Here I,
Yeah.
made fun of it all this time.
Facebook
Boom. So,
Got another
you know,
caller.
Another caller.
oh, excellent.
Excellent.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I wanted to find out about some of the taxes that have been collected and where they're going, if they've been, allocated or distributed yet, how to find out about that.
Well,
That's
that came up last episode. or
That's
two.
a good question, and we think that the Oregon Department of Revenue would be the best place to inquire.
Or OLCC. OLCC.
Right.
This Monday, I'm heading up
Well-
to Portland for the hearing, and I'll ask Anthony Taylor about this.
Okay.
About
Well,
where the money's going. That's a
Yeah.
very good question, and I'm
Right.
sure that everybody would like to know that. And
Yeah.
if you get any information before us, please let us know. And
So-
that's something I'll research this week.
right. Now, you can probably find how much is supposed to be allocated. That was, I think, publicized in the Oregon Cannabis Connection not too long ago. We're supposed that we're going to collect this much, and it's going to be allocated so. So they had that information, but I think our caller is asking how much was actually spent. Where did it actually go? And that's going to be something that the Department of Revenue is going to say that we spent so much money here and there.
Well, shouldn't it be public record? But
Yes, it should, but I guess getting that kind of information to the internet where it can be found through a search instead of still in paper or on somebody's computer internally and so forth. Plus, there may be some information that, they don't want it to get out, or some folks don't know. There is no accounting and they're embarrassed to admit it. So.
the federal government, it's still
Well, this is the state government. This is where they're spending the tax dollars gathered, these high tax dollars that we, the citizens, are paying to support this and make it happen.
right.
And so, a very good question, and we'll try to follow up and let folks know on our upcoming episodes here.
Next week, I'll check it out. I'll research that and see who I can ask and where we
Is
can.
there some kind of meeting coming up?
That's correct. Yeah, go ahead, PK.
On Monday, the 23rd at 1 o'clock at the State Building on Oregon Street in Portland.
Okay.
There's the newly formed Cannabis Commission. Anthony Taylor is on our side there.
When is that? This Monday?
This Monday.
At the state capitol.
No, at the state office building.
State office building. At
On
what time,
Oregon
do you know?
Street in Portland, right.
In Portland.
Yeah, on Oregon
shoot.
Street.
Okay.
So
what
I'm
time
heading
again?
up about 11:30. But we'll film it and be shown on CCTV channel 23. You can see
All right.
what's happening and what different things they're trying to pull over us.
You'll talk about that next episode, you mean, or
No,
it's gonna be
we're going to
live there?
capture the committee hearing on video and then
nice.
post it up on the internet.
on our website?
Yeah.
Or on the website?
On the Mercy TV.
Mercy TV website. Yes.
And along with our others.
Monday? Is the public welcome to attend that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe there'll be an opportunity for the public to speak, or never.
Yeah, at times they give us a bit of time to talk. Sometimes they're strict You got 3 minutes.
Sometimes it depends on how many folks show up, I imagine. Yeah. Well, excellent. So yeah, that's one place to inquire, at least how to find out, huh?
Thank you, ma'am.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you
You're
for calling
welcome.
in. Very good question.
Yeah. Thank you, bye.
Bye now. And yeah, it's good to have citizens, inquire about these things and the people to know,
Yeah.
Right.
Please call 503-588-6444. We would like to hear from you.
Tell us how you like us. Tell us what you want to talk about.
That's right. Your cannabis, be it medical or otherwise,
We're listening. We're waiting for you.
question, comment, curse, or kudo,
Yeah.
An important subject to folks out there, I think, may be what John previously called about, and that is the relationship of cannabis to opioids, not just
yes.
OxyContin, but your heroines, your methadones, and even other painkillers, the Percocets, Vicodins,
And
others.
I think of it like now, what makes me really, something I've been pondering is, back in the day before cannabis was legal, if you wanted to attain some cannabis, say you're out there, you're looking for cannabis, well, I sure would like some cannabis. A lot of times you'd find other things first. You'd find the hard drugs. Yeah. And now today, and then if you went to the dope man's house, the weed man's house, he's going to have other things. There's not going to be just cannabis there. And now with the legalization, it's wonderful. I've heard people come to our dispensary and say, one man in particular, he says, we were talking about the subject. He says, I used to go to my guy, and I would just want marijuana. I would just want the cannabis. And he'd have some Molly or some acid or something else, and I'd say, well, yeah, throw in a little bit of that.
Right.
Because it was there. And now look at it. Now young people, 21 and older, younger people, even if they need their medical marijuana card with parents' permission or even, whatever, you can attain a card instead of going out there and trying to find cannabis in an illicit place. I'm sure that right there, just that action, just our collective thoughts as a state that we've got this, in supply. Now we don't have to worry about, am I going to go over there? And, man, I didn't really want to do any coke yesterday, but I went over to the dope man's house and he had a line.
Well, not just that aspect of it.
And now you don't have to live
You
like
just
that.
have to know how to say no.
Well, you don't go to the dispensaries in town here or anywhere else.
We're talking about
You
folks.
got variety.
Let's talk realistically about what a majority of folks are using drugs for. It is often health related. It's anxiety, it's pain, it's a number of things that only these pain related things can help. So, we see this all across the board, like with veterans and their PTSD. The alternative to cannabis is alcohol, cigarettes, some behavior mood swings. These things for PTSD, these psychotropic things are like worse than acid. It literally permanently causes brain damage on these folks, these poor test cases and all. And yet they're constantly being pushed instead of allowing these veterans who most deserve it to use this cannabis, And so self-medicating and so forth. So yeah, we're seeing folks in that situation. They're taking these things for whatever, be it their pleasure, sensation just for experience, or to escape problem, or some combination of both there. But yeah, and having the black market, the dealer man being their only option, sure, they're getting a lot of unhealthy things. But, and especially for the medical cannabis patient community, the folks that we experienced in '98 and earlier, as a normal person, and there was this underground providing, hey, we heard so-and-so's mom got cancer, or somebody needs, medicine, and with the call network and strangers getting together, getting some medicine, transporting it, all at risk. It could be a setup and so forth like that.
Just to help someone.
Well, it's an act of compassion, and that's how we built that. And so with it went the knowledge that we used it this manner, how to grow, all the other things to that. but it also saved those people from having to go out on the streets and find it and encounter all kinds of situations where they're just going to get hurt and not healed.
Maybe even
and medicine,
Right.
Ripped off, or boom, other harms and so forth. And so yeah, it's a great difference to be able to go in any situation, whether it's the medical dispensary or your recreational pot shop, and get your cannabis and being able to focus on it and avoid all the harms and risks
and now even
associated with the prohibition.
Yes. And now, now you can go to your doctor and say, Doc, I've got this. Can you help me out? What do you think about cannabis?
Well, now you can go and discuss it and not be kicked out of the doc's office. I'm not going to do anything with you. It's...
Well, the doctors could be discreet to a cannabis patient.
Well, no, and again, so that's what we pointed out. Even in situations where the doctor himself is normally cool with it, and he can get past his clinic and all that nonsense, you still have pain management contracts, which usually go with allowing somebody to use opioids. It's a federal thingy, and if the DEA hears that you're also allowing them to consume cannabis, they get a bustle in their uproar, and the next thing you got a letter, and your ability to do doctoring is now threatened.
Right.
And just think how much money the state has saved in opioids, and they're not paying for the cannabis.
Right.
Well, and we as a society save the cost of opioid death and destruction. So again, cannabis gives us that back. Insurance industry should see the benefit. It's much more expensive for that as opposed to the cannabis, achieving the same thing.
I actually called my insurance company to ask them if they covered, if I got in a wreck or something happened to my car that got stolen, what happens? Because I heard that one man says, I heard that if you have any cannabis in your car and you get in a wreck and it's somebody else's fault, but you've got cannabis in your car, that you're going to be held accountable. And then I researched that. Talked to my insurance company, and they says, well, actually, if you were to get in a wreck or something like that, if you had some cannabis and it got destroyed, we would actually cover it. We'd actually pay for it. And even paraphernalia.
Sitting downwind, it sounds like a Cheech and Chong movie scene there.
Paraphernalia, they said they'd even...
Excellent,
But it would have to be, like, it would be like what it was really worth at the time kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then... Yeah,
and that's save your receipts from the dispensary.
Exactly. Now, and we're seeing.
And another thing I want to mention, if it's all right. So, Good Samaritan, for a while, I had a condition, and they didn't want to treat it because I used cannabis. And for a year, they said, no, you can't come in. We're not going to treat you. We're not going to, because you're using cannabis.
Right.
And then just as of late, a few months ago, Samaritan hospitals and through Newport and at least our area, they've started to say, okay, well, these cancer patients, these other people, liver transplants, whatnot, we're going to let you start using cannabis. So that is some good news I'd like to share.
Yeah.
That I learned.
Cool.
That they're like,
very cool.
And now I actually had a Good Samaritan doctor sign for me to get my cannabis.
Wow,
my
good.
marijuana card this year.
Yeah, we're seeing.
So it's opening up.
Well, we're seeing more come forward as opposed to saying, whoa, we can't support this anymore, because they're not seeing any of the death and destruction that reefer madness says you get with associating with cannabis, They're finding just the opposite. They're finding cures that, again, and I am not exaggerating, downright miraculous. Nothing else worked, and this stuff, boom.
Will work.
And so if we end prohibition, as I'm talking to you folks out there, registering, voting, getting everybody to do so also. We end this prohibition, and it's all this time and energy that was spent in suppressing it now turned to the research and getting these low THC, high CBDs and CBNs and CBGs and so forth available.
The federal government has patents on cannabis products that they had universities.
Yep. I mean, exactly here.
Bill said, right?
Right. Like Reed shared with us here, the no medical value. U.S. government has been funding this Israeli cannabis researcher for 50 years.
Oh, is it 50 years?
0 years.
15 years.
$100,000 a year since 1964.
And
when they learned that there were Nixon, those guys were like, well, we got to check this out so we can tell them how bad it is.
Right. Yeah.
And then what did they find out? Oh, shoot, this stuff works. Oh, we better not tell these guys.
Right.
Here, let's patent it quick so we can make the money and sell it back to them a seat at a time, right?
Right. But no, we're not going to fall for that. We're all going to get
let's
together.
not.
We're all going to register and vote and get everybody
your
we know to
brother.
do so also and make it a green
Felons
wave.
can vote.
Yep.
Right
felons
on.
can vote.
And visit Compassionate Oregon, Anthony Taylor's group, and their voters guide. They're supporting candidates, and they've been doing a lot of the similar work of PK, going and talking to representatives, getting their position on it, and also talking about who voted what on the past bills here, and more information there.
And can I ask if
Yeah.
our audience, if you guys out there have got any more information or you'd like to be on the show maybe,
Right on.
get a hold of us here. You're in the Salem area. You've got something to participate and
Right.
put out there with us.
And folks can also
And
visit your
hopefully
website.
Yep. You can visit my website at goweedman.com. You can
Right.
call me personally at 541-272-2691. You just Google the Weedman and my number comes up.
Right on.
You can also go to the Mercy Centers, mercycenters.org.
Right.
And check us out. We're going to work on getting some of these shows downloaded for you guys, so,
Yeah,
so we
right.
can get more stuff going. We're
Get it up
working
to our
on it.
YouTube account, sure.
And
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John, a lot.
Right. And folks can also be sure to check out My Garden, also here on
Yes.
Channel 23, where we'll also post the legislative and committee hearings as we get them, and more. So thanks, Ed, for coming on the show here
I love coming
Thank
here.
you.
I
and
love
sharing the
it.
information. Folks out there, be sure to tell your friends, tell your enemies. And what the heck? What have you got to lose? As I said,
we definitely look forward to hearing from you guys.
it was an interesting thing. Back in '98, I was working with the campaign. I did the databasing and entering the people's addresses, and we do various things like sort them down by street and so forth, the group where for people to visit, or phone call, hey, make sure you vote and all that fun stuff. And I was seeing these folks were like neighbors, and I wondered how many people were, suspicious of their neighbor when
wonder if
indeed
that guy's
they were in
smoking,
that
right?
same underground, And if they were told, it's like, hey, man, and all their problems would disappear compared to this thing they can come together on against the man who's, out to get them both. So, you think you'll see there at the polling booth there, at the
Right.
voting booth, your fellow citizens, and if not, go out and fetch them, take the tour.
Right,
So-
bring them in.
Oh, God.
Okay.
God.
Full circle
Henry Turner,
Right.
who wrote the song, Modern Medication Doesn't Work For Me. You need to check out cannabis. If you can't get a cannabis connection, look, you don't have to smoke it. You can use it in many different forms, edibles and oils and bombs. And thank you for Janet, Shauna, Mike, and the other people on the Mercy Center and CCTV. We love you.
Thanks, folks, for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Mercy TV.
Remember to do the next right thing, guys. Go safe out there. Go Weedman.
Right on.
Yeah.
Next time.
You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.